Hello, and thanks for tuning into the show that goes around the continent to bring you stories near and far. I'm Joke Rogers at Channels Television here in Lagos, and I'm joined by Vincent McCory from the Voice of America in Washington, D.C.
Thanks, I'm Vincent McCory and the Voice of America. Happy to be with you again for another edition of Africa 54. Let's start off with the latest from Nigeria. Joke Rogers in Lagos brings you that story.
Governor Dauda Lawal of Zamfara State in northwest Nigeria believes his focus on addressing the infrastructure deficit across the 14 local government areas of the state is achievable. The governor expressed this during the commissioning of the Freedom Square Government House, Lalan Sokoto Road, among others.
Governor Dauda Lawal of Zamfara State arrives alongside the former governor of Bauchi State, Mr. Adamu Muazu, for the commissioning of several road projects within the state capital, Gusau. One of the projects is the former Bello Barao roundabout, which has been renamed Freedom Square. It links the city center to the government house and the Old Market Road. The project is part of efforts to implement the master plan for the state.
These two roads you are going to commission are 3 out of the 4 urban renewal roads we have initiated. One was initially commissioned by the national chairman of the People's Democratic Party, and the 2 you are about to commission today from Freedom Square to Nasiha Junction, which measured about 700 meters.
The special guest of honor is a former governor of Bauchi State, Mr. Adamu Muazu, who also served as the national chairman of the People's Democratic Party from 2014 to 2015. He commended the governor's efforts at developing the state.
The good thing about the roads and the projects we're about to commission, they meet the best international quality by any standard in the world.
The governor, while delivering his speech, reels out his vision for the road infrastructure in the city as he pledges to do more in the other local government areas.
I'm sure very soon we'll be going to Nasarawa, Burkulu side, and Bukuim, where another company is handling another road.
The governor also pledged to do more in other sectors to improve the quality of life of the people.
My commitment to the rescue agenda of the state will continue to be pursued with great vigor and unshaken devotion.
Alongside the former governor, Governor of Zamfara State moves to officially commission the road. The delegation moves to another location for the same exercise. This time it is the road connecting the Freedom Square to the UBA Junction Road. The state governor explains that the next phase of development will be in the local government areas in the state as he pledges to make Zamfara a modern state.
Joining us to discuss infrastructure development in Zamfara State is the Special Advisor on Infrastructure to the Zamfara State Governor, Mr. Ibrahim Agigi. Pleasure having you on the program today.
Thank you.
Right, so what measures are being put in place in Zamfara State to ensure the durability and sustainability of roads being constructed, especially in terms of drainage and erosion control?
Thank you very much. First thing we took 3 measures. The first one is the design of the roads. We made a feasibility studies before embarking on the designs, and our design specifications are: we have the wearing course, that is the top layer, which is 40 millimeter, which is the highest standard we can get around. And then the binder, which is 60 millimeters, and of course the storm base. Storm base is rarely used around here, but because we want our roads to last long, that is why we decided to put the storm base, which is 200 millimeters. In other words, it's about 8 inches, and then the remaining are fillings. The thickness of the filling depends on the locations. Generally, the width of our roads are 7.3 meters on one lane. That means 2 lanes. This is wide enough to accommodate two large vehicles. And then we have drainage by the side, on both sides of the road. Then the second measure we took was in the selection of the contractors. All our contractors are key industry players in Nigeria. For example, we have Triacta, which is a renowned company. They did a portion of the road which have been completed, and then Ranches Nigeria Limited, Mothercard. These are all industry names. So we made sure that the contractors we selected are reputable contractors. And then thirdly, we made sure that we close supervision. We gave them close marking. We didn't give them any chance to deviate from the designs we prepared. So these are the three issues. As for the second part of your question, which is sustainability, we have drainages by the sides. Everyone knows that the runoff from the roads, if the water running off from the roads, if left there, it will deteriorate the road. So we have drainages by the side. Our drainages are wide enough from 1.2 meters up to 1.5 meters, depending on the locations.
Right, and with every infrastructure development, there are those benefiting communities who are also impacted in one way or the other. How do the government get the buy-in of local communities and other stakeholders in the planning and execution of these projects?
Yes, thank you for that question. Before we embarked on the project, we did needs assessment. We went around the town, particularly the Gusau metropolis, and we collected the needs of the people around. But what we found out at that stage was that roads, we didn't have good roads at all within the urban center. So every one of them, we met the emirs, the village heads, the district heads, all of them concurred to the fact that they needed roads so that we can have easy access to various parts of the metropolis.
You spoke about, the needs of those communities. What about, in executing the project themselves and the topology of the areas and, which brings about the question of, durability yet again?
Yes, correct. Like I told, we did need assessment and we also did feasibility studies. And also, in addition to that, we did condition survey of all the roads within the urban center, including the water outlet, water channels, and everything. So hitherto, before now, we used to have flash floods, perennial floods within the urban center, but we have taken care of that by constructing drainages to channel the water away from the affected area or the vulnerable areas. And I think this year we may not likely have that because already government is constructing 2 large drainages along the streams that run across, that traverse the town.
Right. Special Advisor Infrastructure to the Governor of Zamfara State, Mr. Ibrahim Agigi. Thank you for your time today on Africa 54.
Thank you for having me.
We want to know what you think about Africa 54 and the stories we cover. Join the conversation on Facebook. The address is Africa 54 and check out our headlines 24/7 on voaafrica.com. After the break, refugees fleeing to South Sudan find a collapsing healthcare system unable to provide for their needs. Welcome back to Africa 54. I'm Vincent McCory in Washington. Political violence in Sudan is forcing thousands of refugees, many of them children, to neighboring South Sudan for safety. There they face a different threat, a collapsing healthcare system unable to provide them with the care they need. Sheila Pony reports from Drenk, Upper Nile State, South Sudan.
Refugees fleeing fighting in Sudan arrive in Joda, a transit point between Sudan and South Sudan. 12-year-old Bahita Al-Mahad endured the grueling multi-day journey on foot shortly after being diagnosed with breast cancer. Bahita is feeling sick today and her mother Neema Abdallah speaks for her.
It started with some rashes and chest pain. Then it developed into something hard, like a stone. Her skin started to fall off, and it was getting worse and worse from there. That is when we realized that it was something serious.
According to aid group Save the Children, more than 600,000 Sudanese refugees and South Sudanese returnees have crossed into South Sudan since last April. The region is already facing a severe hunger crisis and an overburdened healthcare system. For the new arrivals, this border town proved less than they hoped for.
I have recorded 194. From 194, only one women and one man.
The country's health sector got a shock earlier 2023 when international donors cut their contributions.
As you know very well, the budget of the Ministry of Health is barely 2%, it's 1.8%. And even that 1.8%, we don't get it. So, and when we get it and we try to push, the amount of commodities and also the personnel we take there is not enough.
Aiwel, the medical director at Reng Civil Hospital in Upper Nile State, explained local medical facilities are not equipped to handle chronic diseases.
Patients with cancers like breast cancers, cervical cancer, and a different form of cancers, and others they were on chemotherapy, and when they came here, as we are a county hospital, and there are some cases we cannot be handling them.
Pahita Al-Mahad's mother says her daughter survives on one meal a day and her condition has worsened since arriving in Jeddah. Some families say they will stay in South Sudan, while others such as Pahita hope the war back home will end soon so they can return to Sudan and get the specialized treatment they need. Sheila Oponi, VOA News, Reng, South Sudan.
The federal government and the Space Exploration and Research Agency, SARA, have signed an agreement on a collaborative effort to advance human space flight capabilities. In a landmark event in the nation's capital, Abuja, the MOU highlights major milestones for the nation's space aspirations, including the sending of a Nigerian into space.
This is part of efforts of the federal government to advance its human spaceflight capabilities. The National Space Research and Development Agency, NASDR, is partnering with the United States-based Space Exploration and Research Agency to open the doors to human spaceflight missions involving Nigerians.
We have signed MOU today with the SIRA, that is Space Exploration Research Agency from America. They are covering us 100% financially. So Nigeria is not spending a dime, So you can see we are blessed because at this time we are looking for money. Some people are coming, SIRA are coming to say, let us take the bills.
Some major highlights of the agreement include development of critical technologies and infrastructure required for human missions beyond Earth, as well as sending a Nigerian into space.
This collaboration is not coming cash in hand. The support we receive from European Commission is 2.7 million euros towards the artificial intelligence, robotics, and big data for our agricultural value chain aspect. But this human space flight is coming as one of those aspects of our deep space exploration. Like my honorable minister has mentioned, there are so many spin-offs that comes from this adventure, and we believe there are so many areas of STEM research will be open for Nigerians.
A major component in this agreement is the democratization of space, and as such, Nigerians will have a say in choosing the civilian who will eventually become the first Nigerian to enter space. Sunes Nathaniel, reporting for Channels Television News.
The US-based National Kidney Foundation says that each year kidney disease kills millions of people worldwide because they don't have access to affordable or available care. This problem of cost and access to care is also seen in Ghana, where kidney-related cases are on the rise in the northern region's Tamale Technical Hospital. Al-Hassan Abdul Washid reports.
Yahya Wanzam Adam is a specialist nurse at the Tamale Teaching Hospital in Ghana's northern region. He says his patients increasingly can't afford treatment for kidney-related ailments.
We started with 3 patients, and then as time goes on, the patient numbers keep increasing. At the moment, we have about 60 to 70 patients we are seeing who are on dialysis.
Medical authorities in Ghana say the condition is due in part to high salt and sugar diet. The government-funded National Health Insurance Scheme, or NHIS, provides free healthcare service for some treatments and medication. Isaac Abdul Latif is a director of the National Health Insurance Authority, or NHIA, which manages the NHIS. He says his office is aware of the rise in kidney-related illnesses, and they need to cover patient costs associated with treatment.
For dialysis to be taken by the National Health Insurance Authority is something that we've heard a lot of people who have commented on that. And internally, we've also discussed it as staff of the National Health Insurance Authority.
The Tamale Teaching Hospital in northern Ghana treats patients from about 6 regions of the country. Yahya Wanzam Adam says most dialysis patients must receive the standard treatment, which is 3 times a week. But not many people can afford the treatments.
So most of them are doing twice in a week. Patient who is not able to come for dialysis for 1 week, if you see the patient, it's so terrible. So terrible. It's life-threatening. The person can even die.
Abdul Latif says the NHIS covers treatment for first-time patients diagnosed with the disease, but says his outfit is talking about expanding coverage for long-term care in its annual review of covered illnesses and medications. But it is not just about coverage. There is also a shortage of dialysis machines.
Currently, 5 machines are functioning efficiently. Imagine we are dialyzing over 20 patients and each session is taking about 4 hours. So the waiting time for the patient is very high. If we have about 20 machines, it will help in the waiting time to ease this burden on these patients.
Ghanaians are hoping the annual review will consider the concerns of families and patients suffering from acute renal failure and address both the need for extended coverage and the lack of dialysis machines. Al-Hassan Abdul Washid, VOA News, Tamale, Ghana.
Stories abound of exploits of women in fields hitherto dominated by men. Our next report chronicles the story of Esther Popola, a 22-year-old lady from Kwara State who is involved in the repair of engines of big vehicles and forklift since the age of 17.
At her workshop in Surulere area of Ilorin is 22-year-old Esther Kehinde Popola, who has mastered the repair of engines of big vehicles and forklift. She gives a background of how and when she started in Lagos and on the journey so far.
My dad was a mechanic, so I started learning from him. That was petrol, generator, and some of other stuff. So after that, after getting from my idea from him, so I decided to go for diesel generator when I was in SS. That was 2018.
Despite being from a poor background, but having the zeal to further her education, a philanthropist is seeing her through with her work by enrolling her at the Kwara State Polytechnic to study mechanical engineering. What type of student is Esther?
in class.
One of her lecturers provides an insight, describing her as a serious-minded and dedicated one.
Esther is a very good student. She's hardworking. She's intelligent. In fact, she's industrious.
Mechanical engineering is believed to be the bedrock of engineering field, and training one person usually requires a lot. Another engineer says locally trained engineers are well dedicated, but limited in patronage.
So we are the bedrock. We train in terms of maintenance, we train in terms of construction, we train in terms of design. We are involved in design in AutoCAD and so many other areas of engineering.
Kehinde Kpokwola is optimistic about her future, and she is determined to be focused.
There's no way in this life that there is not challenge, but you have to face your challenges. So to get what you want, you have to work towards it.
It is believed that Kehinde Kpokwola's zeal could spur other girls to become independent entrepreneurs in order not to fall prey to corruptible influences in the society.
Drivers in Malawi have an opportunity to purchase electric vehicles through a local startup company. The handful of buyers so far say they no longer have to struggle daily to get fuel at pump stations. Lamek Masina reports from Blantyre.
The startup Sky Energy Africa introduced electric vehicles, or EVs, to the streets of Blantyre in September. Company founder and managing director Shizo Thompson says the EVs will help motorists in Malawi save money normally spent on maintenance and fuel.
EVs does not have internal combustion engine. It means no oil, no plugs, no filters to be regularly changed. So these maintenance costs add up to a certain amount. So by cutting those, you are saving.
The vehicles are showing up on the roads of Malawi's second biggest city, Blantyre. Thompson says the demand has outstripped expectations.
The first 30 days after the launch, we have received over 1,000 inquiries on the EV, and in the same space, we have managed to complete over 10 orders of the EV. This means a positive development and a fertile environment for the EVs. Business model.
Thompson says the demand is partly because the Malawi government removed the import duty on zero-emission vehicles, which resulted in lower prices for consumers. Some mechanics in Malawi have reservations about EVs. However,
we have welcomed those cars, but not 100% fully. There is a lot of challenges which we can face concerning these electric motor vehicles. For instance, like how are we going to service these cars? Because we need to be trained as well.
But Thompson says electric vehicles are easier to service for mechanics who can handle routine maintenance like changing brake pads, tires, and shock absorbers.
And when it comes to the battery pack, the energy storage system, the battery management systems, as well as the inverter and the motor. These are special, is a special segment of our field, so it will be done by us.
Thompson says plans are underway to train more technicians across the country in EV technology. Meanwhile, EV owners appreciate escaping long lines for fuel at the pump stations.
When you follow technology, the world is on here. I can easily plan when to go or where to go because I don't need to go at the filling station to fuel my car.
For now, Zalero and others are charging their cars at home as Malawi has no charging stations yet. But Thompson says he's working with pump station and shopping mall operators to install industrial chargers across the country. Lamek Masina, VOA News, Blantyre, Malawi.
Well, and that's our show for today. You can find all the continent's top news and world news online at voaafrica.com. Check it out. I'm Vincent McCory in Washington. Channels Television has our last word.
We look forward to bringing you another show next week. To remember that channelstv.com is your source for news and other programming. I'm Joke Rogers. Thanks for watching and goodbye.